Hello students. Spinal cord is a cylindrical structure protected inside the vertebral column. Vertebral column is made up of bones. It is also covered by three meninges, which are the pia mater, arachnoid, and the dura mater. It extends from the lower end of medulla oblongata to the first lumbar vertebra. Lumbar region is a region around our belly. The posterior-most region of spinal cord tapers into a thin fibrous thread-like structure called filum terminale. Internally, the spinal cord contains a cavity known as the central canal. It is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Spinal cord also have two distinct colored regions, grey matter and white matter. The grey matter of spinal cord is H-shaped, made up of cyton of neurons. The white matter is external and have bundle of axons of neurons. A bundle of nerve fibers pass into posterior horn, forming dorsal or afferent root. Fibers emerge outward from the anterior horn, forming ventral or efferent root. These two roots join to form spinal nerves. Spinal cord conducts sensory impulses to brain and motor impulses to other organs from the brain. Thus, it is bridge between brain and body parts. Spinal cord also controls reflex actions of the body. Observe these processes carefully. Did you observe a common idea in all such examples is that we do something without thinking. Such a response that occurs automatically without conscious control is called a reflex action. When we respond involuntarily, that is without thinking, the response is called reflex action. Thus, reflex actions are fast and spontaneous as they are automatic responses against environmental changes. They help to maintain homeostasis, that is steady state of the body. Students, can you think of different types of reflex actions? The reflex actions are classified based on which part controls them. Secondly, based on which muscles they activate. And lastly, at what time they are learnt. Let us see first based on which part controls them. When a signal transmission involves the cranial nerves and their integration takes place in the brain stem, these reflexes are called cranial reflexes. Examples of cranial reflexes are swallowing, blinking, and vomiting, and the tracking movement of eyes while reading a sentence. The dilation and contraction of the pupils in response to the different levels of light is also the cranial reflex. Similarly, when the signals involve spinal nerves and integration take place in the spinal cord instead of the brain, such responses are called spinal reflexes. When a pin pricks, sensation of pain are taken into the spinal cord directly instead of brain for integration. The processed information is sent back to the effector organs directly from the spinal cord, and it is called the spinal reflex. Now let's see classification based on which muscles they activate. There are two principal types of reflexes based on which muscles they activate, which are somatic reflexes and visceral or autonomic reflexes. First, let's see somatic reflexes. Somatic reflexes activate muscles which are under our conscious control called voluntary muscles. This causes the contraction of muscles like skeletal muscles. For example, when we touch hot plate, spinal cord sends signals to hand muscles to retract back. Now let's see visceral reflexes. Visceral reflexes are not consciously perceived. They involve response of smooth or cardiac muscles. Students, smooth muscles are found in organs like eyes, stomach, lungs, etc., while cardiac muscles are found in heart. Example of visceral reflexes are heart rate, gut peristalsis, and gut defecation. Now let's see third classification based on when they are learnt. Reflex actions are also classified on the basis of when they are learnt, like whether they are learned when we grow or unlearned, that is from birth. First, let's see simple or basic reflexes. Most reflexes are innate and inborn, such as withdrawal of the hand from hot surface. These reflexes are inbuilt and we don't have to learn them. For example, sneezing, coughing, yawning, etc. These reflexes are also sort of protection, that is, natural defense mechanism. Like when some dust particles enter our nose, we immediately sneeze. This throws those dust particles out of the nose and hence protect our body from them. Second one is acquired or conditioned reflexes. Some reflexes are acquired or learned reflexes and are the result of practice and learning. Such reflexes are conditioned reflexes. Playing harmonium by striking a particular key on singing a music note is an example of conditioned reflexes, which acquired conscious learning and practice. Also, applying sudden brakes when driving a car is also an acquired reflex. Can you think of some more examples of conditioned reflex? So what we have seen in the structure of spinal cord, it is made up of long cord, which in turn is made up of neurons. It is protected by a bony vertebral column. Also, it is covered by 3 meninges and cerebrospinal fluid. We also learned that spinal cord is involved in reflex actions, that is, those actions which do not require conscious thinking. Most of the reflex actions are controlled by spinal cord, but there are few actions controlled by brain also. The reflex actions are classified based on which part controls them. Secondly, based on which muscles they activate, and lastly, at what time they are learnt. In the next video, we will study how these reflex actions are controlled and coordinated.